Okay, guys, we are here doing another video. So today's topic is going to be how to take and market a rental listing. Um, so first thing we're going to do a little bit about finding rental listings. So the conversation that you want to have when you get to talk to a landlord or an owner is going to point out the facts about rentals that they probably don't understand. Normally I start off with saying, hey, would you be open to letting me show your rental to some clients that I have. You don't have to pay me anything at all. The tenants pay the broker fee. Basically, what we do is we put it out. We advertise on about 40 websites, and then when we have people interested, we screen them. We'll set up a time to show the property, and then after that, we handle all the paperwork. We handle the credit check, the background check, eviction check. We get applications, we get collect checks, and they get to approve them. And if they approve them, the tenant pays the fee, so they don't have to pay anything. So it's a pretty easy pitch. We could get a little bit more into that pitch in coaching, but for now, I want to get into what to do once they actually say yes. So the first thing that you're going to do is set up a time. Go see the unit, get all of the details. If there's laundry, if they allow pets, every little detail, and make a note. A great way that I do it is I use my Evernote to take notes on my phone while I'm in the apartment, and then I can transfer that over to my computer. So I'm able to have everything right in front of me when I'm doing the input. All right, so what we're going to do first is get the paperwork over to them. So we're going to go to mykw.kw.com. And over here, we're going to go to My Transactions and start e-transaction. That opens up our dot loop. So I'm going to go to sample loop, but if not, you would hit create a loop here and put in the address. So see, I have all of these are all different addresses. You put it in by address. The reason why you do that instead of the person's name is because when you go to submit your checks after you rent it, they're not going to know the owner's name. So you're going to start by address. So here in my sample loop, I'm just going to archive that so we can start fresh. So when you start fresh, it looks like this. This is where you're going to add in all your documents. But before we do that, you have to go down and add in the people. So let's say that the seller's name, say none of these names are in here. This was blank. We're going to go to add person, and we're going to call Anita Landlord. And their email is 123 at 12345 at gmail.com. Roll, select landlord, add person. So that's going to add the person in. So all these other ones were examples, but let's just say it would have Anita Landlord, admin, and your name is always going to be in there. So now back up to documents. In here, you're just going to go to add from, templates. It automatically adds it into your e-edge, so it's going to tell you have a new contact every time that you add a person in here, by the way. All right, so for this case, this is going to be a rental listing. So we're going to go down to Hudson County, property for rent. So in here in this folder, the waiver of broker cooperation, that most of the time we're not going to need. What that basically says is that you are going to list the property, but you are going to be the only person that's able to show it. It's basically saying it's just you or your brokerage that is able to show it and nobody else. That's kind of a weird situation because why would you be putting it on the MLS in that case? So the other stuff we need, the NJ Attorney General's memorandum, that you need every time that you take a listing. You need the CIS, that's disclosing how we're working. Informed consent to dual agency. Now at this point we don't know if it's going to be a dual agency, but it's always good to have in case it is. Lead-based paint if it's before 1978. Protect your family from lead, again if it's before 1978. Residential listing agreement and residential rental property description form, and then truth in renting. So you check all those off, and you're going to hit add docs. Now, it puts all your documents into this folder. A lot of times I like to take this and rename it and call it listing paperwork. The cleaner and more organized these loops are, the faster you're going to get paid because it makes life easier for Christina Trischetti and Joanna. So make sure you have these straightened up. Okay, so now there's three things in these loops that they don't have to sign: the truth in renting, protect your family from lead, and the NJ memorandum. So what I always like to do with these is take them and you simply click and drag them to the bottom. Again, it makes for a nice clean loop because they're out of the way and you don't have to worry about filling them in because there's nothing to fill in. But you have to share them by law, so make sure that they're in here. So we're going to start with the CIS. And right here, it's going to ask for seller, and that is our seller. I need a landlord. And then there, we're just going to have nobody in the second one. Okay? If you have two separate landlords, you put both their information in and select both. So we're going to hit autofill. Just made my screen bigger. All right, so the CIS, this is just saying how you're working, how we're, exactly what we're doing. So for sellers and landlords, this is Keller Williams City Life, the landlord signature. The second location, if there's not two people, you always have to switch it to no one. If you don't switch it to no one, it's going to ask whoever has to sign it. Everyone is going to be able to sign that space. So make sure you switch it to no one. This second part is for buyers and tenants. So for right now, we're going to leave this space blank. If we rent it ourselves or somebody else from Keller Williams rents it, that will also say Keller Williams City Life Realty. If somebody from an outside agency rents it, they're going to fill in, their information there. So buyer and tenant, obviously we don't know yet, or else we wouldn't be listing it. And the answer is going to be no one and no one. So business relationship here, it auto-filled, but if it doesn't auto-fill, make sure you put your name and the company that you work for. Now here we're going to put seller's agent and dual disclose if the opportunity arises. That's meaning that we're working for the landlord, but if we get the chance to do both sides, we will be working for both sides. We're going to hit save. Sometimes when you hit save, an option pops up asking you if you want to share it. For now, just hit no to that option because we want to share all the documents at one time instead of each individually. So we're going to hit back to go back to our docs. Down here, informed consent to dual agency. There's two of these forms separately, so if you watch the video on how to do a rental, you'll see in there it explains there's one form for the landlord when you take a listing and one for the tenant when you do the listing. So make sure that you have those separate ones. So again, our landlord is going to be, I need a landlord, and listing agent is me. Down here, I just have as an example the address as 100 Washington Street, Unit 1R in Hoboken. Again, this is just an example, so that's where you would put in the property address, okay? So we're going to hit autofill. Boom, everything fills in. So you have the property address up top. Down here, you have your name, Keller Williams City Life. The second person is no one. The reason why it says John, by the way, is just because I had another name under person. But for this case, normally it'll say no one or it'll say seller sign here. But make sure it's always you switch it to no one. Landlord is all set to do that here. By the way, when you're switching it, all you have to do is click and go up to these options, and anyone that's in people, you could ask to sign just by hovering here. Okay. So Keller Williams, 100 Washington Street, Hoboken. The date, you can put in the date, and then sign now, and you sign. Okay. Save. Back. If that pop-up comes up, hit do not show again and hit no. Lead-based paint form. So now at this point, we're going to fill out just the top part of the lead-based paint form because the other side is going to have to fill in their part. So we're going to pop in the address there. Lessor has no knowledge of lead-based paint. We're going to check that, and has no reports. Unless, of course, they have reports or knowledge, then you check the other one. So here, we're going to click, switch it to Anita. We're going to click, switch it to Anita. We're going to click, switch to Anita. Now the second spot, we're going to switch to no one, and no one. And down here, the lessor, that is the person who is leasing the property, aka the landlord. We're going to click, second spot, no one. Down here, listing agent, that's me. Click that, sign now, sign. Now, because we don't know who the buyer is, this is for the landlord for the listing. Because we don't know who the buyer is, we're going to switch all of these spaces to no one. So no one, no one, no one, no one. Okay, we're going to put this on the MLS later. So when you're doing a rental, you can see in the how to do a rental video, they have this on the MLS under documents. So we're going to put this under documents. So if someone from outside rents it, they have access to it. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Right, save, back. Next one, residential rental listing agreement. So, seller is the landlord, the other person is no one. Listing agent is us. Property addresses are automatically filled in. Hit autofill. Okay, so 100 Washington Street, Hoboken, New Jersey. Okay, so this is where we have to get some extra information. So the block and lot, we're going to find off the tax records. So we're going to go to the MLS, you log in. We're going to hit tax and NJ tax records here on the right hand side. Sorry, I'm getting text messages on my screen, but it happens. It's a buyer. Yay. All right, so under here, we're going to go to property search, search by street, and then find the property we're talking about. So Hudson County, Hoboken. We have this as Washington Street. So 100 Washington. And here, so it has the block and lot right here. So there's the block 000200 and the lot is 00034. Okay. Listing date. So this listing date here, when you enter this into the MLS, everything has to be signed and entered within 24 hours of this date here. So if you're doing this today, you might want to date it for tomorrow and then enter it in tomorrow once you get everything back signed. If the person is sitting waiting for the paperwork and you think you're going to be able to get it in by today, then do it as today. I always give myself the extra time. Expiration date, say 6 months. You always do it to the end of the month. So even though we have it for tomorrow, it wouldn't expire on the 27th. You do it to the end. Get yourself an extra few days if it's that hard. Okay, in consideration of this listing with the lease, they agree to $2,000 a month or whatever the price is with a possession date of, let's say, February 1st. You can put in ASAP, you can put whenever the actual date is. So the compensation, we're going to check this and we're going to put 1 month broker fee. Okay. Now here, this says, as landlords, you have the right to reach an agreement on any fee, compensation, blah, blah, blah. Nothing in this agreement is prohibiting the individual broker or dependent. You know, you guys should really read through this, but basically what this says is that any prospective tenant that we bring, if the landlord sells, leases, you know, anything to those people within, I usually do 90 days of the expiration of this agreement, they still have to pay commission. So basically that means if I bring a renter in, and this is listed on the MLS, and they rent it to that same renter, they have to pay a commission to us. Okay. Down here, we have our name, Keller Williams, landlord and dual disclosed. Anita's going to sign here. No one's going to sign this second spot. Over here, owner's name, Anita, landlord. Street address. Usually here I put the address of the property, but you can put in whatever their address is. I never put the owner's telephone number in there because I don't want to publish it. So me sign here, my name. Down here, so this is the commission split. The reason why this is here is because when you list something on the MLS, we do have to pay $30. So as a listing agent, you get an extra split. So if this was $2,000 and somebody from an outside company rents it, basically what would happen is we do half a month, so 0.5 minus 100 to anybody else. So say this is $2,000 and somebody from Empire rents it, This we would get a check for 1,100 and they would get a check for 900, and that money comes back through to us, so you get actually a little bit bonus for listing it. The 100 is the max that you could do on rentals, so don't get greedy. Okay, so I'm going to hit save and back. Next one, residential rental property description form. So in here, same thing, we're going to work out the autofill, same way we did with all the other documents. They have the address, autofill, and some of them did. Okay. You want to make sure you spell it right too. Alright, Hoboken, between, so this is the streets it's going to be between. So this would be between North and Second. Sorry, I deleted the box. If you delete the box, you could hit add text and put the box back. So don't delete the box. So between Newark and Second. Listing office, our office is 1623. Salesperson, this is the number that you enter into the MLS. That second number down, not the generated code, the one below that. If you're co-listing it, you put theirs. Now down here, lead-based paint form, yes. Pets allowed, sure. Credit check, yes. Compensation to sub-agent, this is what we talked about before, that 0.5 minus 100. Buying agent, transaction broker, it's all going to be the same. Square footage, complex name, if it's a big building like Maxwell or the T building, you could put that there. Floor number, and apartment number. Now here, this is how many things are per floor. So say this was a duplex and there was one kitchen, one living room on the first floor, and a half bath, and then on the second floor, there was 2 bedrooms. Okay, so this is how this would work out, and then you have to total it down here. There should probably be a full bath. Okay, so this is the first floor, the second level on a duplex. If it's all one level, you put it all on one level. Down here is paid by landlord. So if there's heat and hot water included, you would put yes. But for the most part, this is usually going to be no. Taxes, yes, they pay their own taxes. And water. Air conditioning is no. Oil is no. And parking, if it's included in the rent, you would do yes. If it's not, or there is none, you can put no or NA. It doesn't really make a difference. Items excluded, all personal property. Items included, all major appliances. So remarks to cooperating brokers. So this is going to be the showing instructions for the property. Vacant, easy to show, or 24 hours notice, anything that you want to put in here. Please remove shoes, blah, blah, blah. Any of this stuff is going to go into here. But we have showing times. So you always want to call 1-800-SHOWING to schedule an appointment. This way you don't get other agents calling you to schedule. They just call showing time and set up their appointment. All right, so now here are the options. So showing, we just put, we're going to do see other remarks. Style, say this is a brownstone. Parking, none. AC, central. Heat, hot air. Appliances, you just go through and check all of these things off that the unit actually has. If these are all things you want to make sure you take a note of. So washer and dryer is laundry in unit. If it's not, it would go under washer and dryer room over here if it's shared. If it doesn't have either, it doesn't have either. Hardwood floors, intercom. A terrace is any kind of outdoor space. That's the only option we have for outdoor space right now. So if it has a backyard or whatever, I always include that in there. New York City views, near shopping, near park, near bus, near path, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So common amenities, if there's an elevator, there's an elevator, washer and dryer, room storage, gym, all of this kind of stuff is in here. So seller sign here, that's Anita. Second seller, that is no one. Listing agent, that's me. Advertising remarks, sunny, gorgeous, 2-bedroom duplex. So all your remarks and all that go in here, okay? Hit save and back. So that is all the paperwork that we need. So what we're going to do is select this button here. That selects all the things in our folder. We're going to hit share. And this screen comes up. So all these other names won't be here. Obviously, these are other people I had added in already, but we got to send it to Anita. There's 8 fields assigned for her to sign. It says can sign. So if you want to type in any notes, please sign as soon as possible. Thank you for letting me list this. Then you're going to hit share. Once you hit share, it sends everything over to her. Okay? Sorry. Okay, so once you get this all back here, it says not shared. Once you send it, it'll say shared and we're waiting. Once it's signed, all these will say signed. With the exception of these bottom 3, will still say waiting because there's nothing for them to sign, so it just says waiting, but that's fine. Once that's all done and signed and everything's back, you hit submit to review, which is right up here. And you're going to select the folder, listing paperwork that we just did, type, listing, and submit. So once you click submit, it goes up to Christina Trichetti to check everything and make sure that there's no issues or you're not missing anything like that. But if you're watching this video, it should be the perfect loop. Aha. All right. Now that that's done, all the paperwork is done and in and submitted and we're happy, we're going to go to the MLS. So here under listings, if you click this and you don't have this add listing side, you have to watch the MLS videos. So in order to watch those, you have to go to mlsguide.com. Down here, your password is your full first space last name in all caps and the last 4 of your social. If you have any trouble with login, you actually have to call them direct. But once you log in and you actually get in, this is what it looks like. Down here, it says Hudson County Broker Load Training, not General Paragon Training, Hudson County Broker Load Training. So you're going to click that. You have to go through and watch all of these videos one by one. They're not that long. They're only like a minute or 2 each. You cannot skip to the end of them and say that you watched them because they could tell the actual run time. So when you call, they'll tell you nice try, but try again. Once you get done watching all of these videos all the way to the end, you call this phone number and they will activate your listing panel. Okay, so that's something you might want to do. Even if you don't have a listing right now, that's something you may want to do right away. Okay, so do that. Once that's done, you'll get this beautiful listing panel. CI is commercial, by the way. So you have residential rental, condo, vacant land, 2 to 4 family, all this good stuff. Right now we're doing a rental, so we're going to hit residential rental. Okay, these little red boxes, these are things that are required. So all those have to be filled in. There's a few additional spots that you should fill in just to be a good real estate agent. But for now, that's what you have to fill in. You can see the class here you can't change because we selected residential rental. If it's a condo or something, X out of this and start over. So status is AR for active rental. County is Hudson. City, in this case, is Hoboken. Area, again, is going to be Hoboken. And then listing date, so we set the listing date as the 27th to make sure it matches the listing paperwork. We had the expiration date there, the price, the zip code. This stuff is not going to really matter right now. You don't have to put in the owner's name or any of that stuff. So we're going to put in the address for rent, 1R. I know I'm going a little bit fast on this, but that's the beauty of a video is that you can rewind me and watch me as many times as you want. So it's between Newark and 2nd. We don't have to put the lot and block and all that stuff in here. The compensation we talked about earlier is 0.5 minus 100 in all 3 spots. Type is going to be residential rental. Compensation is paid by tenant. If it's paid by landlord, you could put paid by landlord. If it's split, you could do paid by both, but for the most part, we're going to do paid by tenant. Lead-based paint, yes. Pets allowed, either Y or N. Don't get creative and fill it in. Just Y or N. Internet, yes. Realtor.com, yes. Zillow, yes. Advertise it. General. Here we had one kitchen and one living room on the first level and a half bath. On the second level, we filled it in as 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. If you guys don't remember, you could always go back to your paperwork and pull up the description. So if you forget any of these details, just have this in a separate tab so you can go back and forth, okay? Availability date, February 1. Move-in, taxes, maintenance, all this stuff, you really don't have to fill in. Exclusions, all personal property. Inclusions, it helps when you spell things correctly. Inclusions, all attached appliances. Okay. Rental information, credit check. Yes, we need a credit check. It'd be silly not to have one. The floor, the apartment number, the square footage. You can see that these aren't required. That's why a lot of times you go on the MLS, you want to know how many square feet it is. It's not filled in. That's because some agents go and just fill in only the required ones, but you don't want to get calls from these people. You want to have all the possible information there. Lease, yes. This is the utilities. The landlord pays electric, no. Heat, no. Hot water, no. Taxes, yes. Water, yes. Get the gist of this. And again, that's the same as this panel that we filled in right here. Okay. Next, features. So really cool trick. Instead of sitting here and typing in every feature, if the all features, you just go all the way to the right and select this little hourglass. It pulls up the identical sheet to what this is here. So see, we checked see other, brownstone, none. You can go back here, see other, brownstone, none. We have central, hot air, dishwasher. So you don't have to fill in the exterior finish in the basement in a rental because that's not part of their property. On sales, you do. Okay. So once you have everything filled in, you just hit save, and look, it puts everything all nice and neat in the correct spaces. So that's awesome. Okay, the next thing is remarks. Remarks to cooperating broker. What I usually do is go over to here, select this, hit Command Copy, Command V, and it pastes it right in. Advertising remarks, select all this, copy, paste. Alright, so that is it for now. Once you do this and you put everything in, you just hit save. If you do this and you're still waiting on doing something or anything like that, you hit save as partial listing. So obviously I'm not going to save this right now because it's totally a bogus listing for the purpose of this. So I'm just going to X out. It's going to ask me if I want to save. I'm going to say no. I will show you though on here a listing. Once you hit save, it comes up like this. So this is an actual live listing of mine. Okay. So once you hit save, you'll see over here on the left hand side it says pictures, listing detail, blah blah blah. So we're going to go to pictures, upload multiple photos, add file. You just simply go to whatever it is, select them all and hit open. It'll pop them in, and then you hit start upload and it puts them here. A couple things: you must have a picture of the outside of the building and it cannot have a Keller Williams sign in it. Okay, very important, or else you get fined. So the other thing we need to do in here is the documents. See, my lead-based paint is here. That's important. So you go over to your dot loop, which we have open, and see where it says lead paint. We're going to check here, go to the arrow and hit download. It's going to download this, so we could drag it right here to our desktop and go back, hit add new, choose File, and use that lead paint form and call it lead paint. Again, I'm not going to, then you'd hit save. I'm not going to save because that's fake. If you're doing a sale property, which this is not, but you could add open house dates here, and a tour is a broker's open house. That's a tour date. So open house is for the public and tour is for brokers. Okay, so once you're all done with that, that's it. You're done. So you're going to want to get that into your advertising. The MLS does syndicate the listing out. If I was you, I would go on Michael Lewis Marketing Suite, make a little flyer or a postcard, blast it out to the office, get it on your social media, get it out all over the place so you can market it correctly. Okay, so that is how to take and advertise a rental listing. I hope that this was good for you because it was good for me. All right, guys, have a good one, and I will see you in the next video.